It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Mercedes Bauza, who is a professional soccer player. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Little tired, but I'm doing great.
That's good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to play professional soccer?
Yeah, actually it's crazy. It wasn't a dream I've always had. I actually started playing soccer when I was in high school. So I was a late bloomer. I wanted to play baseball, but the high school wouldn't let me. So I had to choose a different sport, and I chose soccer because my younger brother, Jaden, he started playing soccer around that time as well. And I'm a highly competitive person. I'm a very competitive person, and I like to succeed in everything I do. So once I started playing soccer in high school, I knew that's what I wanted to do in college. And then once I got to college, I was thinking this might be something I'm able to do after college and possibly play semi-professional or professional. So it wasn't a dream I've had since I was a little girl. It was something that I grew into when I started realizing that maybe this is something I actually could do.
That's so amazing. What was your college experience like at Greensboro Pride?
Oh, it was such a time of growth for me as a person and a player. You know, like I said, I started playing soccer in high school. So I didn't know how to play. All I knew how to do was run. They would kick the ball over the defense. I would run down the field, get it, and pass it to someone who could shoot. But when I got to college, I had a coach, Gus Moda. He was by far one of the best coaches I've ever had. He saw the potential in me and kind of took me under his wing and taught me how to play soccer, how to pass with other people and make formations and runs and plays and everything. It was just the best time in my life so far was Greensboro College, with the people, with the coach, and just getting to know myself better as a player and a person. You know, that's college is when you're on your own for the first time, and it was amazing. I have nothing bad to say about that time at all.
What did you accomplish during your college playing career?
Mm. Well, I ended up only playing for 3 years. My senior year, I had an injury, so I only got to play 3 seasons for Greensboro, but I still hold the fitness record there. We do something called the Nike Spark Yo-Yo, and I have the standing record of 42. I believe the version we did, the national level for USA women, is 35. And so I got a 42. So I was so stoked about that. It still stands. On the field, I had got a lot of stats. Even though I only played 3 years, I am still in the top, or when I graduated, I was still in the top 5 or 10 of of Greensboro college history to have the most amount of points overall, as well as goals and assists. I think it still stands, but I'm also not 100% sure.
Can you talk about, of course, what the process was like from making it into college to the semi-pros and professional?
Mm. Oh man, that was such an opportunity. When I was playing in college, one of my assistants, Lorenzo Rodriguez, he was part Puerto Rican as well. So am I. And so we got to talking, and he knew someone in the Puerto Rican soccer arena down there. And so it was just through connections. I happened to get the national women's soccer head coach's number. And I reached out and I asked him, like, oh my gosh, please, can I have a tryout, please? And eventually he said yes, but it was crazy because I actually ended up not being able to go to that. I missed the tryout. I could not go. And I thought I'd lost my opportunity. However, he called me 3 days before the Women's World Cup qualifiers and asked if I was able to fly out the next day, because one of his players got injured. So even though I missed the tryout, an opportunity still arose. And so I was able to go down there and take that girl's place. And her and I are like best friends now. So it all worked out. But it was really just through the connections that I had. I didn't get drafted in that sense. I didn't have an agent that was looking out for me. It was just one opportunity after another. So
Can you talk about, of course, what was going through your head the first time you played professional soccer?
oh my gosh. Man, I just felt so blessed. I felt like I found my purpose. When I put that jersey on for the first time, we were playing in Dominican and stepped out in the field to play against Aruba for the first time. I think that was my game. Um, just the feeling that you're representing your family and your country and God, and you're representing yourself and your team, and so many people are just depending on you. I really didn't find it overwhelming. I found kind of a sense of pride, to be honest. I was proud to be on that field. I was proud to represent, my Puerto Rican family and all the Puerto Rican friends I have now. And it was like something clicked in my head. So overwhelmed with thankfulness, and I was just so happy. I still am, if you can't tell.
What is it like to play international soccer versus national soccer?
Oof. Well, every team is different, but also every country has its own different style of play. So, for instance, when I was playing here, um, it was more of like controlling the space. I'm not sure if this makes sense, but in soccer terms, it makes sense in my mind. But it's more about controlling and possessing the space. We had a lot of through balls, a lot of over the top balls. We play very direct. Whereas in Puerto Rico, we play more of a possession of the ball at the feet kind of game. So we would do tiki takas with each other, and it was a very much faster pace of soccer compared to what I played in college in the States. And then I also had an opportunity to play in Spain as well, and they were just phenomenal over there in Spain. It's always so interesting to see how other teams and how other countries play soccer. It's like everyone has their own style and their own kind of approach to the sport. And, every time you play someone different, you just learn something new, something you can use or something maybe you don't want to use.
Can you talk about, of course, your 2018 season playing in the CONCAF conference qualifier?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Concacaf. So that was my first time playing. I was called up 3 days before the competition happened, so I had very little time to get prepared mentally. Physically, thank goodness, I've been training for months at that point. I flew down there. I got to meet the team, and I just feel like it was such an opportunity that deciding to go opened so many doors for me. And I got to meet so many amazing people who I'm still very close with now. Oh my gosh, I'm just so thankful I even got to go. But when I first flew down there and I first got off that plane, it was just a whole brand new experience from the very beginning, from the way the team ate together, the way we were expected to dress, and the way we were expected to train, and activation and recover. And it's just all the details were so well put together and so different than what I was used to. I definitely had to get used to so many different things in a very short span of time, but just getting to go down there and being with the team was amazing. I never experienced anything like that up until that point, and I hope to continue that for the next couple of years.
What does a typical game day look like in professional soccer?
Well, besides all the training, sometimes 2 a days, sometimes 1 a day, sometimes recovery days, besides all that, on a game day, you would want to make sure you're waking up at the correct time. You would want to make sure that you're eating the right foods at the right times. You can't eat too much before the game, but you can't eat too little before the game either. It depends. Are you eating a half an hour, 3 hours before the game? Everyone's a little different, so you have to know yourself. We would all warm up together, do activation and stretching in the morning. And then before the game, about an hour, we'd go out, we'll warm up, we'll get a lot of touches on the ball as much as we can, play some possession, do lots and lots of stretching. We'll take about a 20-minute break before the actual game begins and play the game. Afterwards, we have some time to ourselves, and then we'll regroup together and we'll just talk about the game, like what happened, what went right, what went wrong, some things we can do different next time, some things we'll keep the same next time. We'll get some time to ourselves, and then at the end of the day, sometimes we'll get together and just do like recovery stuff. Again, that's a lot of stretching. Sometimes it'll be pool recoveries, but it's an entire day process. You know, we have a game for an hour and a half, but everything we do during the day before and after matters. It matters a great deal. So yeah, it's a long process, but it's worth it.
What are some of the protocols that you have to follow with COVID being a factor this season?
That's a great question. So when COVID did first hit last year, I actually wasn't able to go to Puerto Rico. They had a lockdown and a very strict curfew. And so I was in North Carolina, and I got a job in North Carolina. And very recently, Puerto Rico just opened back up to having practices and teams fly out and play games and everything. So it's very recent that we're able to do anything. So COVID affected us a lot. We weren't able to train together as a team. We were either spread out at home, or for the girls who were lucky enough to be on the island at the time COVID happened, they will train individually with the coaches. So it'll be like one girl on the field at a time. Although again, all the way up until very recently, now we're actually able to get together as a team and as a group and be with each other. So COVID affected us a huge deal. I'm very interested to see how fast we're gonna be able to get back to where we were.
Can you talk about, of course, with y'all being individuals during COVID, how important was that to like make sure you're on Zoom bonding with your team that you won't see?
Yeah, so on a team, chemistry is everything. You can have 11 of the best women of the world on a team together, but if they don't connect well, it's all useless. Chemistry is a personal belief of mine, but chemistry is one of the most important things on the team. So when COVID did hit and we were all spread out, at first it was easy for us to stay together because we're like, oh my gosh, like COVID sucks, and we'll talk to each other because we're bored and everything. But as time went on, you know, the communication, it did lessen. We did at one point stop having communication with each other frequently, just because, you know, even though COVID happened, life still continues and we all still had our own stuff to do. So there was a period where it was a little rough, but I think we all know the importance of keeping up with each other and making sure we're all safe and just being still involved in each other's lives, even though we're not there. So we kind of take it upon ourselves to reach out to everyone individually on the team. That way we can form our own personal connections still and strengthen those relationships. But yeah.
What are some of your future plans during your professional soccer career?
Well, I love Puerto Rico with all my heart. I definitely think this is where I belong for the next year or two. I've turned down a couple of overseas offers, some in Australia, Iceland, Spain, which were amazing opportunities. But I do believe Puerto Rico is my home for now. So for the next year or two, I plan to stay in Puerto Rico, continuously train 2 times a day, once over the weekends, continue to build that relationship with my family and my friends and my teammates and coaches and everything. And after 2 years, we'll see if I continue to play overseas or stay. But after my soccer career is done, I would love to coach. I definitely see soccer being a part of my life for long term.
That's so amazing. What advice would you give upcoming future college soccer players looking to make it onto the professional?
Looking to make it professional. Great question. Like I mentioned earlier that there are a couple different ways to kind of get into the professional arena. Being drafted is one of them. I feel like being drafted is so exalted nowadays. You feel like if you're not drafted into a team from college, then you're not going to have that opportunity. You're not going to play professional. But that's just one path you can take. I mean, and hiring an agent is another path you can take. I would definitely say research that one very heavily if that's your route. But I think the most important thing that you can do to see if you can get on a professional team is just reach out, build those connections, figure out the email of the coach, or if you can get a number or something of a federation or of a team, like just reach out to players on Instagram or Twitter or something. If you can get your foot in the door and open that communication yourself, then that'll lead way for more discussion with the coach and with manager or something to see if anything can be done. So my advice would be to take it upon yourself to see what you can do, and to also take every opportunity you can. So, for example, when I was offered that opportunity to play for the World Cup qualifiers for Puerto Rico, I could have said no. I mean, I was definitely so nervous because they called me and it was literally days away before I would have to play for my country. Like, that was something I wasn't mentally prepared for. I was scared. But if I would have said no, being on the national team never would have happened, and being on the professional team never would have happened. So it's about seizing those moments and just making the most of what you can at the time.
That's wonderful. What advice would you give upcoming professional players that are looking to play professional soccer, that are playing it
Mm.
right
Stay strong. Stay strong for sure. I think all the professional athletes, at least the ones that I know, we're all so worried about, oh my gosh, like I'm training once or twice a day, every day, all week, but is it enough? Because other teams have the opportunity to train together and we don't. So it's like, it's the fear of your best not being enough. But honestly, I think that just causes more stress. All I tell the kids I coach all the time, all you can do is your best. If you can't do more than your best, then that is way out of your circle of control. So just do your best. And also I would think like for me, to get a little personal, I don't make a lot of money playing national and professional soccer. I don't make enough, or I barely make enough to make a living, and a lot of people think, oh, you're a professional athlete, you make tens of thousands of dollars. That's not the case. You have to sacrifice a lot if you really truly want to play professional or continue to play professional. You have to learn when it's okay to sacrifice and when it's okay not to. It's all about finding that balance.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Instagram would be Mercedes Bauza Official. That would probably be the best way to reach me on Instagram. I'm on there like once a day, maybe.
Thank you again, Mercedes Bauza, for your interview, and best of luck with Puerto Rico in your upcoming future.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Mercedes, for your interview, and best of luck.
Yes.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.